So, what do software engineers do? Well, it depends. There are so many domains you can get into as a software engineer. You can get into finance, security, supply chain, retail, medical field, aerospace, you name it. In today's day and age, if there's an industry, there are software engineers in that industry. So even though there are many different types of software engineers and different specialties, I'd say that most of them have to deal with some sort of existing or building some new code base. Not to mention they also have to maintain and support that code base for as long as it's being used. But this doesn't actually mean you have to code to be a software engineer. For instance, someone like a software architect might be in meetings all day and meeting with software development teams, but not actually write any code in their day-to-day job. But keep in mind, these positions are for people with a little bit more experience or ones that have been inside of the company for a while. With that being said, software engineers don't necessarily only have to work on one code base. They could actually manage a few different services depending on how your organization's run. So typically, most software development teams operate under what's known as the agile methodology, which basically means there is this understanding that there are going to be incremental updates day by day that can change at any moment, but there is an end goal at some point. So it's just a project management process. Now, something that most software engineers use and project managers use to facilitate this process is meeting day by day in what's known as a stand-up meeting. Now, typically during these stand-up meetings, which happens day by day, is you talk about what you worked on yesterday and what you're going to work on today and potentially what you're going to work on tomorrow. Now, these meetings are extremely helpful because not only are you meeting with your team, but you have the opportunity to identify issues that someone else might have had in previous weeks, but you might have not known or forgotten about. And if you bring it up within your team, you guys can have it solved relatively quickly as opposed to if you're working on your own. Now, typically these stand-up meetings are run by either a product manager, a project manager, a tech lead, team lead, staff, or whatever. Now remember, the main purpose of this meeting is to meet with your team and see if you're on track to complete the product or add on to the product to a certain date. Now, besides that, there's a lot of collaboration that goes on within software engineering in your day-to-day job. You might find yourself working an entire day with another more experienced senior engineer just to understand either the business logic or maybe some new technology that you're not super familiar with. So it really depends. Also, if you're something like an embedded systems engineer or embedded software engineer, you might be meeting with the electrical engineers or hardware engineers or other product managers to make sure everything's going on right and making sure you can reach a certain deadline. Now, depending how many resources your company or your team has or decides to have, you might actually be doing a lot of the infrastructure stuff yourself as well. So with that being said, keep in mind there are many different specialties and domains you can get into as a software engineer. So if you're just starting off your career or you want to make a career change, keep in mind that you want to have a general idea of what that role entails and what sort of technologies you need to learn, because switching from one role to another can be more difficult than you'd expect. So for instance, going from web development to iOS development might seem like it would be a smooth transition, but actually it's quite difficult to learn iOS. And not to mention, if you're going from web development to embedded software, that's an entirely different field of study. So just to recap, what do software engineers do? Well, we do a lot of things. We write code, we're in meetings, we develop products, and we try to make things work that most people don't really see and appreciate. But the ones who do realize what we do and appreciate what we do make it worth it every day. And with that being said, if you guys have any similar experiences or you want to testify any of these points I've made in the video, please feel free to comment down below. If you have any different experiences, I'd love to hear about it. And if you like this type of content and you want to see anything else in particular, let me know in the comment section below and I'll try to do my best to talk about it. And thank you guys so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.